This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. But we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 7th of May, 2019, and I am 2J.
I am 2M.
And I am Miss K, your host. Again, in case you missed it, this is Winning Headlines. Let's take a look at today's headlines.
Yep.
The Standard, Magoha shocker for universities. The Star, investigate OUKO team over audit reports, COG.
Yes.
And Daily Nation, graft, Sonko and Waititu under probe.
I say let's start with the Standard today.
Let's go, Magoha, you shocker for universities.
You know, guys, I think the state is extending itself into markets. Again.
The way you always want them not to.
Not to do. And
Yeah.
I heard C.S. Magoha's argument yesterday. And he said this in block. He said, this is stupid. He said that universities in the city center, within a radius, I think, of about 500 meters next to each other, should not be there because they are offering the same courses. And I ask, what's the problem?
There's nothing wrong with that. This is true government interference, if there ever was a proper definition for it.
Yeah, if you're selling charcoal and I'm selling salt, and we are both traders, and you're next to each other,
Yeah.
should government come and say, oh, the people on your street should all sell salt, and
the
then
people on the other side
street,
sell
they
charcoal.
sell charcoal?
No, it's none of their business at all.
But also I think that this again shows the way Magoha and his predecessor have been, Matiang'i, have been very, very, very retributive.
Yes.
They're all about punishment. They're all about taking something that could have been worked for good and taking it back from the people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't see anything wrong with having very many universities. I don't see anything wrong with them having many or replicating courses.
Yeah.
What I do say is what they should do now that they've proliferated is it's on their turn for them not to be retributive.
Yeah.
Take those universities and create cadres.
Yes.
Say that the University of Nairobi is your upper echelon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is your MIT, this
Yes.
is your Harvard, this
Yeah.
is your Oxford.
Yes.
So you want to come to the University of Nairobi?
Yes.
You pay a premium, you
Yeah.
have higher grades.
Yeah.
You want to go to KEMU?
Yeah.
Fine.
Fine.
You
If
want to
you
go to MKU? Fine.
St. Paul.
Do the exact same course,
Yeah.
Yeah.
have a lower threshold to enter the university,
Yes.
pay less.
Yeah.
If you go to advanced cities, you go to Melbourne or you go to London, most of those universities are right next to each other.
Yes.
Oh yes, they are.
Right? But I also have a greater point, and I think it's great. You see, we have refused to think beyond a certain point. Education is the highest finance-funded sector in this country by government. Now, I don't think, or I don't see any reason why we should not be able to attract the region into these universities.
And I think we are.
We've said that before.
And I think we should. If MKU is having, I don't know how many, maybe 8,000 students or something, or any other private university, do you know what the potential within the region would be if you are to attract countries from Africa, other countries from Africa, into
Kenya
Nairobi?
for education,
That means so
I
much
think
for us.
right now they are more occupied with regulation than reality.
Absolutely.
I think if we remember a couple of months ago, I think maybe it was last year, they made a suggestion that they should lower the threshold of the grade requirements for entering university. And I think if they did that, we could apply what you're saying. Different universities are able to take in different grade levels.
Yes.
Therefore, you have university spaces available for everyone, and then you have more students who are getting degrees.
So then let's ask ourselves this question.
I like that.
Is
I like
this
that.
headline, let's use our three-part criteria to break this headline down for ourselves. Is this headline topical or is it repetitive? Is this headline groundbreaking or is it speculative? And finally, is this headline thoughtful or just plain lazy? Then we can see whether we're keeping it or we're tossing it.
I think they attributed the word shocker to the wrong item. I think that the shocker is Magoha himself, that his statements are shocking.
That's true. That is true. And I think that it's unfair for universities, and that's all it is. And it's unfair for Kenyan students, it's unfair for Kenyan parents, it's unfair for the region.
It's unfair for markets.
Yes, for markets, for the economy. Goodbye.
Investigate OUKO team over audit reports. Council of Governors demands.
You know, there's this belief that constitutional offices like Office of the Auditor General, DCI, EACC, are above board, that they can do no wrong.
Yeah.
All right. Now, these claims are shocking. That an auditor can go to a governor and ask for 100 million shillings just to tweak a report so that the governor is seen in good light. Right?
Yeah.
Now, let's go back. Ask yourself, if the Auditor General has had reports that have been defective in the past, how many other reports that we don't know about could be defective and could be forming the basis of public anger?
Okay, so I'm going to see that. I see that you've connected both headlines. You've taken the Star Investigator OUKO team over audit reports,
right,
and the Daily Nation graphed Sonko and Waititu under probe, because they are under probe because of audit reports. So
Yes.
I say let's do them together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do we say then?
I think that I like the Star headline because it flips the script. I would beg to say that maybe the public has had too much faith in the EACC and the DCI.
Yeah.
And so
And
this headline is telling us that maybe now we need to turn our attention to these investigative bodies and ask, are they doing their job?
Precisely.
That's true.
Are they corrupt as well?
And I like that story for flipping the script. I like that it takes us to another angle. I like that it looks at OUKO and says, if OUKO has called every single department in our government, up to and including State House, and pulled out queries on them, can we check him?
Yeah.
Let's see him. Who checks the Auditor General?
Absolutely.
Now, Sonko and Waititu, under probe.
Before
So are we then questioning this report and its validity?
Yes, and I think that is what has been put in the court of public opinion. But also, before we just go to this thing, let me put it this way. You see, I have said that county governments are probably a disaster in this country. All right? And the reason I'm saying that is this. If they have committed a crime, and it is possible that corruption has happened, then when we thought of doing devolved units, did we percolate corruption to these devolved units? If at all national government was corrupt. And if we
It's a valid question.
what did we expect?
Yeah.
I say, okay, fine, we could have percolated corruption as we devolved, but also I have another thing. We devolved recently.
Yes.
Our devolution is very, very young as compared to the republic that we've had.
Yeah.
And when we put these guys in place, no one put in place any sort of mechanism that is able to check them or to teach them administrative duties.
Yeah.
So maybe just teach them.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do.
I'm tired of this headline. I am. Yeah.
I say we keep this one.
Yes.
I would agree. I think it's a good headline.
Our winning headline is the Star, and on to the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country.
Yes.
Just like the headlines, we have a three-part criteria that we use to break them down for you. We ask ourselves, is the cartoon humorous or is it dry? Is the cartoon satirical or is it pessimistic? And finally, is the cartoon effective or just plain lazy? I see you started with the standard. Let's look at what Gado has for us today.
Yes.
Our resident international cartoonist.
I think
today.
this is Libya.
Yeah. Yes, it says Libya.
It says Libya, so it looks like a shop. And
Libya looks like a shop.
Yeah, see, you can see it's like a kiosk there. And then people are voting, or are lining up to vote. And right behind them is a tank. And what's the name of this guy? The Libyan strongman. It's called Khalifa Haftar. All right, and I think the message in this cartoon is the people are voting under the duress of the military, and you can see the tank is smoking.
Yeah.
Would you vote any different if it were you?
I don't think you have a choice. You look at that and you think about yourself. Self-preservation is a very, very strong instinct.
Yeah.
So you guys like it?
I don't
I think
like
it's an alright cartoon. I think it's.
I don't like it. I say we toss it.
I think unfortunately Gado has set such a high standard for himself that if he doesn't do better, there's no winning here.
I say we look at both of them together.
The Daily Nation and the Star.
Nation and the Star, because there's a similarity in the cartoons.
Yes.
And I think that we have to look at them together in order to pick which of the two would be our winning cartoon.
That's true.
So let me explain those ones first.
Okay.
It's caricature of William Ruto, and he's always crying. I'm sure this is a vulture, right? This bird is a vulture.
Yeah, the stance, the neck.
Yes, and next to him is
a baby vulture.
A chick.
A chick in the name of
someone who looks like
Ferdinand Waititu, governor for Kiambu. And I think this is in the context of what Ruto did on Sunday.
Yes.
He defended Waitito.
scandal, yeah.
He defended Waitito and say, stop saying Waitito produced the government documents. It is our work to explain government expenditure. It is Waitito's work to explain county expenditure.
However, when you read the caption, what is Ozone trying to suggest?
Birds of a feather.
Flock together.
Flock together, absolutely.
That they're one and the same.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
And that Ruto's vulture tendencies
Yes.
are being passed on to Waitito. In fact, he's grooming him, he's protecting him,
Yeah.
and he's his chick.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's the parent to this chick.
Yes, absolutely.
So now when we look at the nation,
Against this.
Yeah.
All right.
same idea,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Same idea, but now this is William Ruto carrying Waitito as he's running. And
We note the reference.
Waitito has a red tie, but his cap is color green.
And his socks.
And the socks like smudge. Are you noticing the smudge?
Yeah,
on
they're
the hat?
matching, yeah.
They are matching.
What are they
And-
running away from?
But they say this is clever because the smudge on the hat and on the socks is the
Matches.
same as what is on the newspaper, which Waitito is carrying as he's running away.
And what does that paper
And
say?
Kiambu audit report, but it has flies.
And it
around
has holes.
So what?
So it's a stinky scandal
Yes, but
that they can't get away from.
What do flies converge around?
Garbage.
Garbage, really?
I'm not going to name the bodily fluid or emotion that you're trying to get us to state. I'm not going to just.
Okay, so the caption here says, easy, act like it's not stinky. I think it's a great cartoon. And I think we've said, we suspect that Ndula is the master and
Yes.
Ozone is the student.
Yes.
Because they both have this crying motif of Ruto with the tears.
There's something in their footprint that's similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we pick between the two? Because it is similar. It's a different angle to look at it. Here they're running away from it. Literally
most
running.
definitely.
I pick Ndula.
Ndula, 100%.
I pick
I
Ndula.
say that
Yeah.
too. Daily Nation gives us our winning cartoon.
Yes.
What is our final thought?
And now, our final thought. It is a book, or it's inspired by a book named The Dictator's Handbook. And it is by a writer called Bruce Bueno de Mesquita. And Alistair Smith. And it's about why bad behavior is almost always good politics. All right? Now, let me say this. If you're the type that likes the servant type of leadership and you say politicians should be servants and that kind of thing, this is not your book. Let me read just an excerpt from the book. It says, what is important here is cash. A leader needs money, gold, and diamonds to run his 100 castles, feed his 1,000 women, buy cars for the millions of bootlickers under his heels, reinforce the loyal military forces, and still have the money, have some change left to deposit in his Swiss accounts. June?
That is a fantastic quote.
Wow.
Okay, so let me break down what this handbook tries to talk about.
And the bad behavior it is
Yes, and
speaking
the bad
about.
behavior it speaks about. I don't know if we'd say it encourages it, but it explains it.
Yes.
So the authors explain this concept of selectorate theory,
Yes.
which I think is a play on the word electorate,
Electorate.
your voting base.
Yeah.
So the theory is that leaders with power and longevity require the balance among three key groups of people.
Right.
So we're going to talk about this in a pyramid, going from the base upwards.
Yeah.
So at the bottom, you have the interchangeables. They are called the nominal selectorate.
Yeah.
That is the large base. That is everyone. That is
Okay.
you and me. You have a right to vote. You have a voter's card.
Yes.
Okay.
Above that, which is a smaller group, you have the influentials, which are called the real selectorate.
Yes.
This is a smaller group of people.
Yeah.
I think Ms. Katie will explain what those people really are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then on top of that, you have the smallest group of people at the peak of the pyramid.
Yes.
They are called the essentials.
Yes.
But they are also known as the winning coalition.
Yeah.
So in this book,
Yeah.
the authors say that leaders remain in power by keeping this winning coalition happy.
Yes.
Therefore, the size of each group, the three parts of this pyramid,
Yes.
the size of each group determines how the leader is able to govern.
Yeah.
So they say if you imagine a circle with the essentials, the winning coalition in the center,
Yeah.
the smaller your winning coalition, the less money the government has to put into making them happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the bigger this winning coalition, the more likely they are to reflect the wills and views of the larger population.
Yes.
And therefore you have to spend more money to make them happy.
Okay.
Okay, so if I'm to understand what you're saying that this bottom tier, this bottom of the pyramid, what you're calling the nominal selectorate or the interchangeables is everybody who has the potential support of the voter.
Yes.
I mean of the leader.
Yes, and they're interchangeable because they're not important. It doesn't. The people at the top don't really care who the single voter is.
So in Kenya, I would say then that the interchangeables are you and I.
Yes.
Any person who's over 18 years old who has a voter's card and is able to vote, then is an interchangeable.
Yes,
Yes, we're
high interchangeables.
High interchangeable.
We don't matter.
No, we don't matter because yes, you do have the right to vote,
Yeah.
but your individual vote to if you didn't go to vote did not make a difference or would not make a difference in whether or not Uhuru Kenyatta won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a single vote.
Single vote. Yeah.
I'm sorry to bust your bubble.
5% plus 1. Run off.
Sorry to bust your bubble.
50,
But let's talk about it. Maybe.
50,
Wait, let's negotiate. Maybe
Yes.
you could be a different person. Then you talked about the second level, what
Yes.
you call
Yeah.
the real selectorate or the influentials.
Yeah.
Now, these are the guys who actually vote or who actually select
Yeah.
or choose the leader.
Yes.
So maybe in Kenya we could say that the influentials would be let me give a comparison first. I think in the UK it would be whoever belongs, the members who back the largest majority
Yes.
party in parliament.
Yes.
So if you to replicate that here,
Yeah.
I'd then say that in 2013 and in 2017,
Yeah.
who I'd call the influentials would be Gema
Yes.
Yes.
and the Kalenjin Nation. So these are the guys who then have the voting mass
Yes.
to put the leader in power.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Then finally, the essentials.
Yeah.
So these are the very important people. Without these people, a leader cannot rule. They lose their control or their grip over the populace and their rule would be finished.
Yes.
In Kenya, I find this group very difficult to pin.
To
Yeah.
define,
But can I
yeah.
say that,
Yeah.
for instance, right now, I
Yeah.
could call Ruto an influential,
Yes.
and I could call Raila an influential. More so because they collectivize our
An
influentials.
Or an essential.
Yeah, an essential.
Yes.
I'd call them essential.
Yeah.
I'd call Raila an essential. I'd call Ruto an
An
essential.
essential.
I'd call Uhuru an essential. Why? Because they have the collective will
Yes.
of the influentials. Uhuru has a collective will of the Gema Nation.
Yeah.
Ruto has a collective will of the Kalenjin Nation.
Yeah.
Raila has a collective will of the Luo Nation. And they can bring these voting populations to order to put them into power.
Yeah.
But if we were to say in Kenya, in our context,
Yeah.
I would suggest maybe that the interchangeables and the influentials are a constant.
That's
or at
true.
least up until now, they have been a constant.
Maybe. I don't
But
know.
the essentials are changeable. They depend on who is in power. If Ruto became president tomorrow,
His essentials
would
would
not
then
be the same
change.
as Uhuru's essentials.
Okay, let me ask both of you this.
Okay,
Because you have ignored one big factor in this politics of ours.
tell me.
It's money. Where do the people with the money fall?
They are essentials.
They have to be essentials.
The
They're
influentials?
No.
Why not?
Because you need money to win an election.
But the people with money will give you money so that you use their agenda to get to the...
Do not
Not always.
confuse the people with money with the electorate. The electorate cannot, unlike America where you do crowdfunding,
Yeah.
here the people with money have their own cadre and their own and they're essential to the keeping of power by the leader.
Okay, let me say this.
But I think you were going somewhere, so get to your
Yeah.
logical conclusion, then we can see if your argument holds.
No, it always holds. Here's where I'm going with this. You see, Bruce Bueno de Mesquita has what he calls the 5 rules of power.
Yep.
Power politics. 5
Okay.
rules of power politics.
Yes.
And the first is depend on a few,
As few people as possible.
to keep you in power.
Yes.
Right? Rule number 2, in that pool of few people, there should be numerous people. So that in case one of them brings nyoko, you can dispense of them,
And you still have someone
and you
left
still
over.
have someone left over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Third rule, rule number 3, tax the people as highly as you can. Use revenue to enrich yourself and enrich your cronies, right? But there are 2 caveats to this rule. First rule is we could go into a siesta and decide not to work, and therefore government will not get its taxes. Second, you could all decide to revolt because of the high taxes.
So therefore, you need to keep working conditions good enough so that you can collect your tax revenue.
For the first time, you've got it. Number 4, rewarding the coalition.
You read the book today, huh?
Rewarding the coalition, all right? This is either through public or private means. Public is you give them infrastructure, you give them railways, you give them roads, you give them hospitals, electricity, name it. But private is use those government contracts to reward your coalition.
Yes,
right?
and that's why we say that money is an essential.
Number 5, distribute the minimal amount of money to those loyal to you.
Yeah.
The reason is you will need the remainder to do other things. All right? Now, I want to ask you guys this question.
Yes.
These 5 rules, in my mind, they appeal to someone. I have a candidate for it. And because these rules, this dictator's handbook, all right, it shows you how to maintain power. Someone
in
wants
a bad way.
Someone, in whichever way, someone wants to maintain power, and I think the goal here is executive premiership. You tell me who that person is.
I don't know who that person is. Maybe you can tell us in the comments below. But I will say that it's important for us to...
That person is President Uhuru Kenyatta for me.
All right. Fair enough.
But
I will say that we need to know that this book is talking about a dictator's handbook. And maybe that's what you're trying to say, because we are not there yet. So I would ask the question, does Uhuru Kenyatta have a large winning coalition, or does he have a small winning coalition? Are we able to identify that? Because in the book they say that with a large winning coalition, the president must do enough civic good and propose enough good policies to keep the general population satisfied.
And a good example is America. America is a situation where you know who the general population is. Every voting person is registered. You know who the influentials are. It's the electoral college, and you know exactly who they are. And because of these groups mesh each other, what a president in America has to do he has to create policies that
reflect the voting
population, or that satisfy them.
On the other hand, with a small winning coalition, a dictatorship in this case, the leader only needs to satisfy a small group of people. For example, the military, in order to maintain political power.
So in answering the question, is Uhuru a dictator?
Of course.
A dictator.
And we have to analyze. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
We must go back to what the book has taught us. It has given us a political landscape that has 3 sets of people. So how does his landscape look like? Is he pandering to a small set of people? Because that is the essential characteristics of a dictatorship, that you have to keep a small group of people satisfied. And then use a large group of people for taxing, your point, for revenue, for rewarding, and for abusing,
for using government contracts.
For using government contracts, and you keep the government contracts and give them only to your influentials and essentials. Or does he pander to a larger audience? Is he looking at the larger populace? Is his interchangeable the big crowd that he's working with? If you answer that question, then you can answer whether or not.
Can we keep that question rhetorical?
Good. Today you are thinking nicely.
All right, it is. Okay, today we had a winning headline from The Star, a winning cartoon from the Daily Nation, and as part of our final thought, we came to the conclusion that no leader, no matter how good, can govern alone. You need your essentials, your interchangeables, and your influentials. This is Winning Headlines. See you tomorrow.